There's been a recent thing that has kind of come to prominence where there's this group called Black Hammer, and they've started a fundraiser which raised $64,000 before it actually got closed down to build a city in the middle of the Colorado mountains. So you're actually getting your wish of, giving them their own plot of land and building their own stuff, except they've gone out and raised the money for it. It's better. You don't have to get rid of the people in Montana like you wanted to. Those poor innocent people.
I had a meme, and my meme was the solution to the socialists is give them what they want. Here's a huge tract of land the size of Montana. Get in there, and then you live out your socialist dream. And they're just going to do it for me?
They're doing it for you now. They've raised some money, and
as you don't even have to sacrifice Montana.
So yeah, they've got a plot of land in the Colorado mountains, I think, and just look at the actual city itself, what they're actually planning to build. This is supposedly Hammer City, and as you can see, it's not exactly luxurious, is it? That's to put it lightly. I mean, they've got a couple of central buildings. One looks kind of like a swimming pool. I'm guessing that's like a communal area, and then they've got a couple of other buildings. I think that's, and then the rest of these weird sort of I don't know what to call them.
Mud
igloo.
I'm sorry, that's a mud hut.
It does look like a mud hut.
For people listening, there's how you build, this is what the city will look like. They've done one of them, except they've built one building with solar panels, a couple, as you said, that look meh, and then just the rest of them, just a pile of mud huts.
Yeah, they're like igloo shaped, and they're even the same colour as the dirt around them on the ground.
So they must be mud huts.
They've got no windows. They've just got a door. It doesn't look like my vision of a utopia, but.
I love how the chat's calling it Wakanda.
So yeah, they've got these weird mounds that people are going to live in, which I don't really understand why you'd ever want to live here. And guess what they call these, by the way? They've got a specific name for this style of home.
Is this going to be like, in America they have tiny homes, which is just trailer park? Is this going to be something like that?
You're thinking far too marketable.
Oh.
They call them earthbag homes.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds desirable.
Do you want to go and live in an earth bag? I mean, it sounds like you're getting into a bag of soil.
I just saw that tagline as well. Colonized people need dictatorship over our lives, labor, land, and resources. Good God.
Yeah, and because they're in the Colorado mountains as well, they're obviously going to need all the infrastructure that comes along with being independent. In their little city plan there, what if they got 6 buildings that are shared? So what's that, maybe a school, a hospital?
It's big charitable.
Yeah. Well, they did have an education section on their website, because they have their own website where you can donate money to them, because the petition has been taken down now for reasons that will become obvious later on. But we were actually looking at some of the education stuff, and one of the books I believe you looked into, the recommended reading.
It was called, I'm going to censor this, Die, N-Word, Die, and it was by Mr. Brown. And Mr. Brown had written this book in the 60s, arguing for civil rights.
1969 it was, yeah.
Okay, yeah, a lot of reasonable things to be said there. He went on to live in, and then in the year 2000, he decided to, the cops came to his house because he refused to go to court to pick him up. And then the cops couldn't find him, so they left, and then they saw his car pulling up, so they pulled him over. And they knocked on the window, it's like, how you doing, Mr. Brown? He pulled out a rifle and shot them, shot both of the deputy sheriffs, and then he was charged. And he defended himself in court by saying there was a racial conspiracy by the police to get me. Both of the deputies were black. He shot 2 black men to end racism.
And the reason he actually was going to court as well was because of a speeding ticket, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't even anything serious.
He killed 2 people over a speeding ticket.
So yeah, this is their recommended reading. Their so-called education. I would hope that they don't have a school if that's what they're teaching them. They're better off ignorant. But it seems ridiculous. Looking at this, no one's going to be able to live on this. You need at least a water treatment facility. You probably need somewhere to grow food. They clearly haven't planned this out. It's just ridiculous. They've got these few buildings in the centre, and that's it. And then these horrible earthbag homes littered around like mud huts, as you said.
It's just called the mud huts. That's what they are.
I mean, it sounds so bad, though.
It sounds like a marketing firm has gone to some famine-stricken country, and they're looking at the mud huts that people have built, and they're like, oh yes, these earthbag homes, very, very gentrifying the area or something.
I'm pretty sure the mud huts though in Africa look better than this.
Yeah.
Even in like the slums of Liberia, at least they have like corrugated iron.
Well, I mean, like the rural villages of Afghanistan where buildings are made out of dirt. I mean, they look better than that.
So anyway, I'd like to read out what they've actually said on their petition, and I managed to get the text of it before it got closed down, and we do actually have the archive link down below, but it's not working at the minute for some reason. But nevertheless, they say, as of this writing, which is grammatically incorrect, but never mind, Black Hammer has liberated 200 acres of land in so-called Colorado, USA. So-called Colorado, apparently. 10,000 feet above sea level, lush and fertile. Our comrades who had the chance to visit the land sang only praises of the land, how the land is perfect to build our eco-friendly and durable earthbag homes, the beautiful rivers and streams that pass through it, and the amazing flora and fauna we will be living in community with. Probably resorting to hunting it for food, judging by the lack of infrastructure in their plans. But this was not an individual effort, though. From those who donated $1 and shared the page on Facebook, to the comrades who led the planning of Hammer City and scouted the land, we're all responsible for this victory. Whoever was responsible for the planning should be held accountable.
Shot.
That sounds like their model of justice in this community as well. They say, Hammer City would not be possible without the unity and support of the colonised masses of the world. Colonised masses. Oh, it's worldwide, but same thing. And supposedly, they're only allowing people who are African American and Native American in this plot of land, I suppose. Anyone else, I'm afraid you're not oppressed enough and you aren't permitted.
So presumably they're going to have borders in which they check if you're black or Indian enough.
They're going to do little racial checks on the borders.
Just one drop rule to see
it's
if you're...
It's just an ethno-state in the Colorado mountains. It is in the middle of nowhere, so I imagine that they're not exactly going to get too many people stopping by, especially if that's what it looks like at the end of it. So if you actually move on to the picture of them on their land, here they are. I mean, it looks ridiculous. They're all... You can tell they've come from a city.
It's like city children have come to the countryside. Wait, you got the next one? Just look at them. Look at them.
They're all wearing their stupid uniform with their logo with the fist holding the hammer with a gear.
See, nobody's built a mud hut yet.
I mean,
too busy taking photos, I guess.
This doesn't look hospitable either. It's just loads of rocks in like kind of disparate vegetation. Like come the winter, they are going to be frozen.
I saw you jotted down here. I don't know if you mentioned it. They've raised $64,000 to build these mud huts.
Yeah, I mean, they actually aimed for 500,000 as well. But
expensive mud huts, I guess.
Yeah, top of the line. But if you could move back onto the article, we did have an article covering this, and they say about the supposed city, it would be a city for all people of colour to be free, with no discrimination of nationality, gender, age, or mental or physical differences. Hammer City will provide residents with jobs, housing, food and healthcare, while retaining a no cops, no rent, no coronavirus, and no white people policy.
Go up to the top again. I want to see that image of them, and I want you to tell me, how white are they? I mean, that guy in the right at the bottom there, is that a black man?
Could be someone who's Native American. I don't know. They are allowed apparently in
Pocahontas over here. Like, that guy is not a person of color by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, half of them there don't even look anything like I would actually say is a black person. I would say they have like light brown skin. I mean, you look more Spanish than you do African.
Yeah, they seem to have a pretty loose definition for people who are seemingly racial supremacists. It's a bit weird. So they have said some funny stuff though. Like this is great. They said about Black Lives Matter that they are sellouts and a simp organisation for the Democratic Party.
True. Well, the second part true. Sellouts, because I know what they're going to say. They're like sellouts to the black race or something like that, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. They're like the house N-words, as that's how they would put it.
It's their position, not ours, YouTube.
Yeah, it's a terrible term. So they've also accused followers of Karl Marx and Antifa of being KKK communists. But it's just the word communist spelt with 3 Ks. which is just tasteless.
I love it.
So yeah, here they say, donate to our campaign so we can build a better city, and the costs are going towards purchasing the land itself, which I think they have this 200 acres already purchased, surveying the land, conducting soil testing, closing costs, establishing an LLC, lawyers' fees, and acquiring building permits. I think that's a weird use of the money. Surely most of that should be towards, building the habitable spaces, like building the houses, the infrastructure, but most of it seems to be just the legal side of owning the land and testing the soil to see if crops are growing.
Well, they're testing the soil to see if it's white.
We found it's brown, it's okay. So
I don't believe any of this either. I bet they're just going to spend it all on drugs.
It's just going to
Call
be
it now.
place for them to have like raves in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah, they got given 64 grand. What do you think they're going to do with it?
I don't know. I mean, moving up into the mountains is pretty dedicated, and they do seem to be up there. Like they have a Twitter account, which was where the pictures came from, and they seem to be updating it with stuff.
I bet they go up there like they've rented a hotel nearby, and they just walk up into 20 meters away from it, take a picture, and then walk back.
Ugh. I can imagine it, but I feel like these guys are the real deal, to be honest. If we move on to the picture down below, if you just scroll down a little bit, John, we've got a screenshot of one of the tweets here. Y'all YTs, I don't really know what that stands for.
YTs.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't really know that was what it meant. Keep asking us, how are we going to keep ourselves warm up in the mountains? Don't y'all already know it just takes a good book to burn and some nice wood? And best believe we have plenty of copies to keep us warm all season long. And they've got a picture of Anne Frank's diary and a fire. So, if you could move on to the Fox News.
Damn white people calling us racist. We're going to burn Anne Frank's diary.
So Fox News did cover this, and if you could scroll down and look at some of the tweets there, they've got some horrendous stuff. Like lots of people have been quizzing them about this anti-Semitism, and their arguments in favour of it is pretty much that Anne Frank is some kind of coloniser because her father had links to something or other. There we go.
Boy. I mean, literally in agreement with the Nazis here.
Yeah, and they say, didn't you guys call Anne Frank a coloniser? And their official Twitter just says, she is, full stop.
Like the Jews are colonising Germany. I mean, that's the position of the Nazi party. And these guys are in agreement.
And they also quote Malcolm X saying that, they rented out properties to people in poor areas of New York. And it seems like pretty weak justifications. And if you could scroll down a bit more, John.
Typical black nationalist.
Yeah, there we
nonsense.
go. And can I read this out?
You can quote it. It's their opinion.
So this is what they say. And where were white Jews when the slave trade was occurring, or genocide of over 100 million indigenous people of Turtle Island? I looked up what Turtle Island is, by the way, and it's the Native American name for America. So they just refer to America as Turtle Island for some reason.
I'm guessing it's by one tribe as well. It's not by all of them. So
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's just ridiculous. Like Turtle Island, just call it America. Everyone knows what you mean.
Well, the over 10 million people that were killed in the Congo under King Leopold II, all the scramble for Africa.
They were in Shark Island with the other Germans genociding, experimenting on the Herero people. They were financing the slave ships from Africa to the Americas. They were part of the imperial armies that were sent worldwide to kill and enslave us.
This is what wokeism looks like.
Yeah,
this is the end point. The Jews are the oppressors of the world.
Horseshoe theory has been vindicated here.
Yeah, I mean,
you go far enough left and you just become the far right.
They've literally got the opinion that the Jews run the world, and therefore they're the true oppressors of all of us, and therefore they're the colonizers who must be removed. Okay, the woke left literally are the Nazi party. I mean, they're telling you that. I don't know why we shouldn't believe them.
It's, I just really don't know how they come to these conclusions. Like, it just seems ridiculous that we're colonized, we're oppressed, we've been genocided, but whose fault it was. I'm not even gonna say that online, but they also have a kind of thing on their website, if you go back to Rory's article, where they talk about reparations, which is a way that white people can support their movement by paying money to essentially get these courses which teach them how to be a useful ally or useful idiot, I would say.
No, I think ally. I mean, literal slave to the ideology. I mean, that's what they're asking you to do there. Pay money, become our servant. Work for black nationalism, which we try and exterminate the Jews. Totally reasonable people. I mean, why shouldn't we throw all these people out into the streets and be made to beg on the streets? I don't know.
So the reparations have 3 different tiers, like the good capitalists that they are. They've got a tiered reparation system.
Subscribe to my Patreon.
It's almost at that level, isn't it? So the first level, of course, is called the Che level at $40, and it says, sign up for a single session of the boot camp and get a view of the experience and work it takes in order to disunite your people's worldwide acts of genocide and terror. Take the first steps into creating a world where no one lives at the expense of another, and show others that you have what it takes to make a material, not just ideological difference in the lives of others. Do you think you're going to sign up? I mean, it's awfully tempting.
Get to experience and work in what it takes to disunite your people with worldwide acts of genocide and terror. The ones we're about to enact as soon as we get your money.
So the next level is the Sankara level, which wasn't actually familiar with this name, but it is a dictator of Burkina Faso in Africa at some point. So it's just another communist that's killed lots of people. I've looked this up, and the levels of their reparations course actually go up in the number of people that these horrible people have killed. So the tiers progress until you get to Mao level, who obviously has killed the most out of any of these communists. But back to this Sankara level, which you need to pay a minimum of $99, which it says you sign up for the 4-week boot camp and get halfway there to falling under the leadership of colonized people. So you're paying money to fall under leadership. Bit strange, but
I mean, like I said, becoming a slave.
More or less. Although you won't be able to contribute to the organisation at this level, you'll be able to receive valuable skills necessary to help advance anti-colonialism and organise people to return and liberate the land of colonised people around the world. If you wish to continue the 8-week boot camp, simply pay reparations for another Sankara level boot camp. So they've got it. They've got a very capitalistic approach here, where if you pay for the boot camp twice, you ascend to the next level.
Well, at least the Soviets didn't charge for the gulag, so...
So I forgot to mention that if you pay an additional 25% in reparations, you receive an exclusive piece of Black Hammer gear. I mean, an additional 25%, so that's what, another $25. You get a piece of their gear to allow you to remember your oppressive treatment.
Was it like a sickle, or...?
I don't know. Probably a T-shirt, I imagine. And the final level is the Mao level, which you need to pay a minimum of $199. And they say, sign up for the entire 8-week boot camp and get fully certified as someone who is united under colonized leadership. By completing this level, you'll get a chance to provide your skills to the organization and become an active recruiter to make sure that other people are continuing to pay reparations and support the masses of poor and working class colonized people. Upon completion, you will receive a reparations corps uniform. Oh, great. And if you pay an additional 25% in reparations, you also receive an exclusive piece of Black Hammer gear.
I'm going to give you a uniform because you're the reparations corps. I'll give you little armbands as well while we burn and Frank's diary.
This does sound really bad, doesn't it? They've gone full circle here. They've arrived at the position of the far right. So they say, why should you join this corps? What are the possible reasons that you would want to do this? They say, for 600 years you have been murdering indigenous people, enslaving Africans, colonising the globe. Aren't you tired of endless genocides enacted in your name? You have raped Turtle Island and her indigenous nations. You stole African people from their prosperous continent to build your plantations. You've stolen our land, forced us to work as slaves, racked up the plunder under colonialism to fuel the parasitic capitalistic system that murders us today. The genocide of colonized people never ended. They are continuing today worldwide through colonialism and imperialism. You have blood on your hands, but you can never wash them clean on your own accord. In the words of the Brazilian educator Paulo Freire, although the situation of oppression is dehumanized and dehumanizing totality affect... That doesn't even make sense, does it? What does that even mean? Although the situation of oppression is a dehumanized and dehumanizing totality affecting both oppressors and those whom they oppress. I'm not sure that that's grammatically correct, but I'm being really pedantic. It is the latter who must, from their stifled humanity, wage for both the struggle for a fuller humanity. The oppressor, who is himself dehumanized because he dehumanizes others, is unable to lead this struggle. So sit down and take notes. And they say, by paying reparations, you acknowledge that you and your nation still benefit from our stolen resources. By taking this class, you acknowledge that you and your nations still benefit from the dopamine rush of conquest. What does that even mean? Like, you get a kick out of conquering people. Just throwing in some, like, neurochemical justification for this. So they say the revolution will overturn these contradictions, and colonizers can either fall in line behind our leadership or help us build, or you can stand in the way of our hammers. So what do you make of all that?
I mean, most of it's almost like white noise, isn't it? It's like listening to the Soviet Union propagandists of the 30s. Western imperialist capitalist story, and it's just like, oh, turn off. But I mean, they are serious. I mean, don't. If someone tells you we're going to kill you, and then all the Jews, I mean, I don't see any reason to not take them at their word and therefore stop them.
Oh, these guys, they're so terrible. Anyway, could we go to the article? Sorry, they did some funny stuff about Karl Marx at the bottom here. Here they say, we personally want to say rest in P to colonizer Karl Marx. Marx's Ku Klux communists. I'd like to think that this is just their teeth chattering all the way up in the mountains. So they're so cold they've run out of Anne Frank to burn. His Communist Manifesto has created a generation of crackers. This is really difficult to read. And leftists who think they're on the side of colonized peoples while lining up to be the first to genocide, enslave and kill us. They've got Karl Marx looking like a demonic clown and some other kind of propaganda, I guess. So Karl Marx is not communist enough, apparently. And they say, Marx was a notorious racist, describing our societies as barbaric and primitive, despite the fact that true barbarianism was from crackers worldwide. Marx didn't contribute anything to society except stealing what little he could imagine from African and colonized societies. I'm pretty sure Marx stole from his family and Engels, actually, but
It was black.
apparently now they are. He lived a life of dependency, sure. We did a whole contemplations on it, but he was basically just borrowing money off of his friends and family.
Borrowing, like typical stuff.
Not giving back, yeah.
Letting me expropriate your wealth.
So if we could move on to their constitution, this is a goldmine of nonsense. So if you could scroll down a bit, John. Some of their principles here are just ridiculous. So Article 1, we believe that colonized proletariat should have dictatorship over our lives, labour, land and resources. So it's, cookie cutter communist stuff, and it goes on and on and on. So if you want to find out a bit more about these guys, this is probably the best thing to look for, and it'll be linked down below on the website. So after this depressing window into
$64,000.
I know,
and they've got that money. That's theirs.
But it's not all bad. I think this is win-win for normal people, in that if they fail, it's funny, and if they succeed, it's going to get loads of the kind of racial extremists living out in Colorado where they're not going to bother anyone. So no matter what happens here, I feel like everyone's a winner.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.